Καλησπέρα. Γεννημένος στο Παρίσι, ο Emile Chaillot ξεκίνησε την καριέρα του συνεργαζόμενος με πολύ γνωστούς χώρους του Παρισιού, όπως το L'Étoile, το Puna Lounge, το L'Aventure, το Dubis και το Leclerc, το οποίο κατάφερε να φτάσει στα 6 κορυφαία μπαρ στο Παρίσι μέσα σε ένα χρόνο. Τον Ιανουάριο του 2008 μετακόμισε στη Νέα Υόρκη προκειμένου να αποκτήσει την εμπειρία του εκεί τρόπου ζωής και της κουλτούρας των κοκτέιλς και των μπάρς. Προσελήφθη στο Lea Lounge New York City και αργότερα διετέλεσε ως bar supervisor στο 330 Fifth Roof Top Garden τον Νοέμβριο του 2008 ταξίδεψε στο Σίδνεϊ της Αυστραλίας και εντάχθηκε στο Ivy Pool Club, ενώ ταυτόχρονα εργάζονταν ως εκπαιδευτής στην Ακαδημία για bartenders του Alex Beaumont. Ταξιδεύοντας ανά τον κόσμο, παράδιδε σεμινάρια, παρουσιάσεις σε διάφορα μπαρς και εστιατόρια, μεταλαβαδεύοντας τη γνώση και την εμπειρία του. Συνεργάστηκε παγκοσμίως με εταιρείες κολοσσούς όπως η Pernod Ricard, Chivas Brothers και Campari Gruppo. Μέχρι το 2010, ο Emile συνεργάστηκε στενά με τη Marie Bizarre της Belvedere Group, προκειμένου να δημιουργήσει signature cocktails για το πορτοφόλιο της εταιρείας και να εφαρμόσει εκπαιδευτικά προγράμματα παγκοσμίως. Emile Chaillot, Liqueur, from classic to modern.
Thank you. So I guess you know pretty much everything about me with my bio. So thank you for showing up here today. It's a great pleasure for me to be in Greece. It's actually the first time. And pretty much today we're going to be looking at the history of liqueurs, where it comes from, maybe, if like we have the same roots. And as well understanding how Marie Bizarre has become one of the leader company in terms of liquor, into the liquor industry in terms of either quality, range, and cutting-edge understanding about the trend and what works on the market today. So we'll be looking from classic to avant-garde liquor, what we've been doing back in the years, how the liquor has been pretty much introduced to us in the last 400 years, and what we can do today, and pretty much as a bartender or as a consumer, what are we looking to get beyond this classic trend. So a bit of history. It's good to be in Greece, pretty much, because as some of you may know, it's the cradle of liquor. Even if we look back in the history, the first trace of liquor comes from the Egyptian tombs or Greek scrolls. And one of the oldest liquor that we can find, or what we have heard today in the history, it's pretty much Hippocrates liquor. It's one of the oldest liquor which used to be served in the Middle Age until the 17th century. And Hippocrates was Greek. So pretty much we are in the cradle of liquor. Your country is the cradle of liquor. You've been pretty much making the first and the oldest liquor that it's still kind of commercialized today. It's 470 years before Christ. And Hippocrates, as I'm sure you know about him because it's a big figure of medicine in the history, but he was a pharmacist, he was an historian, he was pretty much making recipes to heal people. Most of the alcoholic fermented drinks at that time, because distillation was not pretty much existing or very popular at that time, were to heal people, to help them to feel better or just to enjoy. So the first liquor were made from fermented wine, so made from grapes, kind of cinnamon and different herbs that we could find at that time. It was definitely a medicine purposes. We still can find some Hippocrates liqueur today, but in very limited market. But if you have the chance to try it, it's much more on the wine taste, and it gets served mainly during wintertime or for Christmas. So this is pretty much where we get back to the roots and one of the oldest trace that it's pretty much reliable about liquor. But liquor, as we said, has been made to feel better, to heal people, or to even elixir of life. All liquors, such as Benedictine, when we trace back the history until 1510, or Chartreuse until 1605, those two liquors are French. After you guys pretty much create the first liquor in Greece, French as I am, we kind of took the idea and make it our own and popularize it, because most of the liquor today on the market are mainly French. Most of the major company that made liquor, most of the proprietor liquor company are mainly French. So elixir of life, Benedictine and Chartreuse, what are they? They are mainly infusion or fermentation of herbs. Same thing, those kind of liquor were made to heal people, to make you feel better. Like for Benedictine, we do know that it's an average of 27 herbs infused, distilled, and added sugar as we made liquor today. For Chartreuse, if you take the green Chartreuse, it's an average of 130 different herbs, spices, and roots infused and distilled. And what we can get today, we have green Chartreuse, we have yellow Chartreuse for the most common one, then we have elixir of Chartreuse. So all of those liquor until the, let's say, 18th century, were mainly made for medicine purposes and not for titling as we can do today. So we come to Marie Brizard, the legacy, the history, the woman. Marie Brizard is born, if we look at it now, it's 300 years ago. Happy anniversary, I will say. So she was the daughter of Mr. Pierre Brizard. We used to run a brûlerie in Bordeaux. Bordeaux is the kind of the strategic location at that time. It's kind of the main entrance for trade, import, export, every kind of supplies that you could expect at that time. Her father were already distilling and making some kind of house-made wine, but not on a large scale, much more on a local scale, and to help people around, to help apothecary, to help pharmacists, to help even their friends. It was much more friendly titling, much more that massive commercialized titling. She was as well one of the first women in the industry that we can trace back. And she was a visionary in terms of what she will be able to do with the legacy that she had from her family and the legacy that she had from the recipe of the anisette. Fortunately, we don't have a bottle of anisette today, but you are quite familiar with the anisette. You do have ouzo over here. You do have like as well some kind of raki from Turkey. And yeah, it's a base of an anise liqueur. An anise liqueur that might not be aging for the same time as you've been doing ouzo, but pretty much the anisette was firstly made in 1755. The history says that Marie Brizard, she was a woman of heart, helped a sailor, a Western Indies sailor, because he was almost dying, and she saved him. And in exchange of saving her life, of saving his life, he gave her the recipe of the anisette and how it's get made with badiane and with other herbs that we're going to see later, in order just to thank her. And she actually saw an opportunity at that time because there were some kind of liquorists in Bordeaux, and they all were making some kind of liqueur, creme, whatever. Most of them doesn't exist anymore today. So she saw that there was a real opportunity for her even to make something completely different and having an opportunity to commercialize it and widen wide range and touch as much people as she can. So she was much more into the business industry. That's why we can say that she was a visionary person. She was not looking only like locally as her father might be doing. She was looking much more outside of France, export market, and even going to the court in Paris to like the king, which was Louis XV at that time. So up to nowadays, Marie Brizard was founded in 1755, and she got in partnership with her nephew, Jean-Baptiste Roger. Same thing, up to nowadays, is one of the oldest, might even be the oldest, French generic liquor producer still operating. When I mean generic, I mean like a company that made a large range of liquor. Because if we look at Chartreuse, they are kind of older. If we look at Benedictine, they are kind of older. But they are making one type or one range of liquor. Marie Brizard had, well, not really her, because when she died, not all of those liquor were already on the market, but the family that took over the company. Because Marie Brizard's been in the family until 1998. So for over 240 years, it was a family company. So they as well were kind of the leader of the trend about like what liquor could do and how people could expect to get liquor in terms of demand of the market. So it's still one of the oldest generic company, generic liquor producer operating in France. Strategic location. Bordeaux. Back in the 1750s, Bordeaux was the #1 port in France, and even for kind of the Northeast Europe. It was like the place where everybody was trading, coming in, going out. The sailors from France were living from Bordeaux. It was the main place. So they were exactly at the right spot to make liquor and to get like the first diaries coming as soon as they were unloaded from ships. They could get it straight away. They wouldn't have like to cross over France or cross over like maybe France and go to Holland or to go to whatever Spain. It was, they could get it like straight out from the vessel. So they could get like some kind of fresh diaries out from the vessel. Same thing. As I mentioned, that there was almost like 40 different liquor producers at that time. We don't have any more of those producers except Marie Brizard, which is still located in the center of Bordeaux. Most of them like just closed their factory, or just some of them has been absorbed by Marie Brizard in order like to grow the company. What you have over here is a picture of the port of Bordeaux, and what you have over here, it's actually a receipt that dates from 1768 from a vessel that was buying anisette, because in 1768 there was only anisette, that was buying anisette to load it on vessel as a fortifier. For some of you who know maybe the history of gin, and we can name like maybe Plymouth gin, it used to be loaded as well on ships as a fortifier for British shellers, Scottish shellers. And pretty much Marie Brizard was the product to be loaded on vessel to be the fortifier and restorative liquor, giving them like a good heart to go to fight.